All right, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today with me, I have a very cool guest, low-key a celebrity around HPU. I'm very excited to have him here today. Would you like to introduce yourself, Mr. President?
Welcome to the Honors Podcast.
Yeah, not Mr. President for much longer. I'm about to.
About to end the reign, but
somebody's
it
about
was
to
a
take
pretty
over.
good one.
Yeah, there were ups and downs. I'm Benjamin Niehaus, a senior from Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm studying finance and accounting. I have served as the Student Government Association president, and I was the treasurer before that.
It was very cool. From Chattanooga. That
We were
was
just
fun.
in Chattanooga.
Yeah, I just came back from a conference a couple weeks ago, and I had actually been there before
Yeah.
as part of like a 7th grade school trip, and we like go for the week and like explore the area. We like went to Ruby Falls,
Oh, yep.
and then I just remember going to the Run Rock climbing gym in the downtown area, High
Oh,
Point.
yeah, High Point.
High Point, which I didn't realize it was called that until I went this past weekend. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to go.
Yeah, full
I did not
circle.
end up going, but yeah, because conference takes up a lot of time. So yeah, that's a really cool city. So I'm curious about what was growing up there like. Were you like near the city, or were you more out in the mountainous area?
Yeah, so I was in a suburb. It's East Brainerd. We're about 20 minutes from downtown. I could walk to Georgia from my backyard. So I'm like very, very South Tennessee as far as you can go. Obviously in Chattanooga, you know it, there's like perfect hiking spots and rivers and creeks. So I love the outdoors. I'm an Eagle Scout. I was in Scouts as a kid. I ran cross country and track. So I was on different trails, on different mountains every day, which I want to get back to at some point back home. And
Yeah, that's very good. It's hard to get around in that here.
yeah,
We
there's
really only
still
have the
there's still
greenway.
good hike spots, but going from
Yeah.
like they just got named what do they call it? It's a national park city. It's the first American city to be named a national park city. So it's like ideal outdoor. So everywhere
I don't
compared to
know.
that is pretty tough.
Every time I travel and I find like a river city, I love a good
Yeah.
river city and like a river runway.
Yeah.
It's really nice. It's good. So you kind of involved in like all that natural hiking. Do you do any camping a lot?
Yeah, I camped a ton. I mean, I camped in Scouts. We'd go all over the place with our
Yeah.
troop. But then once I got older and I got a car, me and my buddies would go up on the mountain, spot Lula Lake. It's gorgeous. It's a land trust, and only certain amount of people can go out there. And one of my good buddies that's at Chapel Hill lived on the he lived on the land trust, so we could go up there and camp right on the bluff. We camp on my other buddy that I went to high school with had a property right on the Tennessee River. Like if you're at the aquarium, y'all at
Yeah.
the aquarium, right?
They like bought it out for the
that's-
conference.
I saw that. I'm jealous. I love sharks. So
Oh yeah, the sharks were freaky.
Yeah.
But I love the first one you go to, like the otter one. That's
yeah.
the first one.
Yeah, the first thing you see is the otters.
I know they like show off. They like swim around and
they
like do all these
keep
flips and
running
stuff.
around and
Yes.
running around. Yeah. So he had a spot right across the river from that we would camp at and fish and sit up all night catfishing and playing our guitars. So yeah, I love the outdoors. I'm not myself without that.
I agree. Me too. I also grew up in like Southern Appalachian in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
So like that's
Yeah,
why I
you're
went to
close.
Chattanooga. It was fairly close, and I feel like it impacted me, like the nature and like the leaves. Like I used to think I could like hear voices in the wind as they like
Yeah.
blew through the leaves and the trees. So like, how would you say like having that nature around you growing up has like impacted who you are as a person?
So my first thought is faith. I grew up in church. I'm a Christian, and like being in nature, away from the hustle and bustle of the city and classes and everything, especially when I was running, especially we had a small group of us, like 4 of us that would run together. And just out there, and all you hear is footsteps just pounding on the dirt, and just that silence and that serenity of like untouched land that just that's where I hear God's voice the most. Or if I'm out on a kayak in the middle of a lake by myself, just fishing. There's a song about it. I love country music. And
So cross country and running. Did you do any other sports kind of growing up that you really loved?
yeah, I played everything when I was little. I played basketball and baseball and football and soccer. played soccer in middle school. That's actually where I started running. I ran to stay in shape for soccer.
Yeah.
And then played up until my freshman year of high school. And then had a pretty good sophomore cross-country season. The track coach said, no, you're coming to run the mile. And the 2-mile, we're going to get you in good shape for junior year. Then we won 2 state championships, so I guess it worked out.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I loved soccer too. Like, that's something I always tell people when people ask me, what are you going to make your kids do if you ever have any? It's like, I'm going to make them play soccer.
Yeah.
It's a great sport. Me personally, I always played the stopper. It's like a weird position where you just like run all over the place.
Yeah.
And I loved running so much. And I don't really do any of that anymore, but I still wish I could run a little bit more because there's just something about it. It's like a good...
It's a good release.
Yes. And like you don't need anything to do it.
Yeah.
Like you have all the equipment right
with you. Pair
with
of
you.
shoes on and a pair of shorts and t-shirt and you're good.
Well, it's fun. And you're still pretty involved with lots of health and fitness and stuff. You're active employee in HPU Rec, which is our health and fitness organization here at High Point University. So how did you first get involved in that? And I want to talk a little more about that.
Yeah, so being a cross-country and track runner who's also 5'7", I wanted to get big when I got here. So I started lifting a whole lot and kind of stopped running, actually, sophomore year fully, and was lifting a whole lot. Met a couple of personal trainers. They said, you should come and personal train with us. So I was a trainer for, I guess, 2 years-ish with like one-on-one sessions. I had a couple of duos that I would train, and then got certified in Les Mills strength development, which is a like a group class where you're building the foundations of lifting. So me and Caitlin, my girlfriend, taught that together. I've kind of taken a step back this year, just working in the gym, like as an attendant. Yeah. Just because it's getting a little bit too busy to find 3 hours a week to meet with 3 different people at the exact same time every day. So.
Yeah. So throughout the full 4 years you've been here, what has been your favorite class or thing to teach and your favorite class to take?
Yeah, there have been a lot of good ones. I love Tom James. He is the professor of the practice in the finance school or the finance department. So I've had 2 classes with him. I took corporate and investment analysis. He's worked in the industry, so hearing from him, I mean, a lot of people complain that his class is boring because it's financial analysis and corporate finance, which kind of gets boring, but he's been somebody that I've spoken with outside of class, and he's given me a lot of advice, and I've loved all of his classes. I'm trying to think. I mean, there are just so many interesting honors courses. I've had Dr. Turner twice, twice. I had him for my capstone, the life work in the liberal arts, and I took a country music class with him. Oh yeah. Which is probably the coolest final project I've had, where I play the guitar, so me and my roommate Riley Maldonado, we wrote a country song and turned that in for our final, which was pretty cool. Very different. I think I took those 2 classes at the same time, corporate finance and country music, so it was one very number-driven, data-driven, and then creativity where I'm literally writing a country song.
Oh yeah, that's a good balance. I love when your schedule works out that way. Yeah. You're mathematical, you're like creative, and like your whatever literature class and all that. Yeah. It's really fun. So finance major, accounting minor. Mm-hmm. Why did you choose that? And then what are misconceptions people have about being a finance major and what that career outcome is?
Yeah. So if you would have asked me senior year of high school, I was going to say I was I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. I wanted to work in like sports medicine. Then I took AP Bio and realized that I was not a science person at all. So didn't know what I wanted to do. I figured there would always be money somewhere and somebody would need to manage that money. But hated math, but I was like, I can figure it out. Got here, took calc freshman year, and got hit in the face with calc, and pretty much taught myself calculus because the professor was really good. I just didn't connect with his teaching style, so taught myself calculus and figured out, well, I can do this whole numbers thing, and then started taking my accounting, my finance courses, and I was like, wow, this is not nearly the math that I assumed it would be. It's a lot of simple math there. Like if you know simple algebra, you can handle math or handle finance and accounting until you get into like deep modeling and analysis and and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I think that everybody thinks that after getting a finance degree, you're going to go into like be a financial advisor where somebody's giving you their money to manage, which is a position that you can do and you can do very well from it. I think a lot of people are set up well for that because it's almost a sales job at the end of the day because you're meeting with people, grabbing lunch, you're selling yourself to them because you got to get them to trust you to take the product or to give you their money and buy your product. But there's a lot of other routes. I'm looking into corporate finance, some banking roles. You can go anywhere with finance. If you love the outdoors and you had a nice Patagonia backpack in 6th grade that you still got today, Patagonia's got a finance team. You can find a way onto any finance team, and you can work wherever doing finance anywhere. It's not just you're not going to get stuck somewhere. Everybody needs finance.
That's true. Where do you hope to end up working in finance? Like right after college, but then also further down the line, like ideal job and like life?
Yeah, so I like the analysis side. I spend 90% of the time that my laptop is open, I'm in Excel just from SGA and classes and personal stuff and personal projects. So I think that going into a job, I want like an analyst role where I'm pretty much as an analyst, you're compiling it and then giving a little summary of that data to your boss, and then they'll make the decisions with it. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I want to be able to make money for people, is what I've always said, because I mean, money is a big part of the world, but it's not everything. I want to be able to help other people with their whatever financial situation, and if they're a single parent working at McDonald's for 60 hours a week, I want to be able to help that mom, and then I also want to be able to help somebody that has worked in a 6-figure job their whole life and they're just trying to build wealth for their family and so that they can support their children through college, because money stresses everybody else out, and I want to be able to help everybody with that.
Yeah, it's important. And I always wonder, because I have a really good friend who's an accounting major. She's really good at the math and all that. And she knows so well, but she doesn't really manage her own personal finances well for some reason. And I feel like that's a trend I keep noticing with finance and accounting majors, because they just spend all their time working with other people's money. So I was wondering both if you are good at personal finance, but then also how your view on money as a sector within your life has changed since you like started college and been doing this program. Like, what's the value of money in a person's life?
Yeah, I would like to say I'm good at managing my finances, but it is easy for me to see a new pair of running shoes that I want to order.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, I made this much money in the past 2 weeks at Rec. So, I mean, I can just buy those, which after I graduate, I will not be able to do that because I'll have to be paying for housing and food and everything in between. But I'm getting better than I used to be at managing my money. We talk about leverage a lot in class. Money can get you where you want to be if you leverage it in the correct way. Especially we talk about time value of money in investment class. I mean, you talk about it in every class. And at our stage in life, just thinking about how you can invest money grows. There's the 10-7 or 7-10 rule where every 7 years, if your money is in a 10% portfolio, it can double, or every 10 years, if it's in a 7%, it will double. So our money right now is worth far more than when we're 40 years old, 50 years old, looking at retirement. So taking that risk now, investing or whatever, saving money, putting it into bond funds, or finding ways to build that base now that can continue to grow and grow and grow, because it's exponential the way that money grows. So I've got to become good at managing my money when I graduate. And even now I have a small amount invested, but being able to set up that nest egg early, and that kind of looks like focusing on what the future wants, what kind of future I want for myself, and I want to have a family. My parents provided me every opportunity that I've ever needed. We're in no way well off. My high school was 2 tax brackets above where my family, it shouldn't have worked, and there was a lot of prayer, and God made it work. The school, on paper, there is no way that me or my family should be able to afford this place, but my parents have made sacrifices. If we're not taking a vacation this year, or Christmas is going to be smaller, they invested in mine and my brother's education in hopes that it's going to pay off for us one day, so that we can provide that same experience for our children, and then also be able to take the vacations and live that comfortable life, whatever that is, if that exists. So yeah, being able to, it's easy to look at this week, and here's what I have to do today and this week, and here's what I want to do this week or this month. But it's looking, where do I want to be when I'm 35? And I'm married, and I have 2 little girls and a little boy, and I want to support them and give them everything that I've had and more, and prioritizing kind of something comfortable that's not going to last now versus something for a family, or for kids in the future.
It's very mature of you.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. It sounds pretty good. It's very human. Very human. Like, think about others, and like also be thankful for what your parents have done for you.
Yeah.
That kind of responsibility that's placed on you. Like, I don't know if we place it on ourselves or our parents place on ourselves. Our generation has an interesting experience with our parents' generation. Yeah. Do you think we owe anything to our parents?
I 100% think I do. I think that I do. I owe everything to my parents. That, what you just said, I think there's been a switch in the past year and a half, because in high school and even the beginning, probably freshman and sophomore year, there was a lot of, I want to do this because this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, I want to make good grades. I want to be involved because that's what my parents expect me to do. But then there's been this mental switch over the past year and a half where it's, well, I want to do this so that my parents are proud of me, so that I'll have this experience and thing on my resume that can build towards my future, so that I'm not squandering the gifts that God has given me and the gifts that my parents have provided for me. I 100%, my parents put me in church. I was baptized when I was, 8 months old? I guess that's when it was. Put me in church and put me in a Christian elementary school where I started to learn. My parents put me in a lot that I didn't want to do. I hated scouts when I first started. My first official, I was in Cub Scouts, and then you transition over to the actual Boy Scouts. I guess it's Scouts now. But the first 2 or 3 camping trips, I bawled in the parking lot because I did not want to go. I didn't want to be away from my parents. And then I know that killed my mom. She told me that they made me go, and then she went home and cried, because she sent me. But she knew Ben's going to grow so much from this. And I'm thinking about this interview that I have later today for a job, and I know the first question they're going to ask is, tell me about yourself. And the first thing I'm going to talk about is my time in scouting, because that's where I first had the ability to lead other kids that I knew and plan these events. And it's where I hope to one day call myself a strong leader. I think that's my goal in my career, wherever that is I want to be known as a strong leader and be able to respect myself as a leader. That's where that started, was in Scouts. And my mom knew that was going to happen. My mom and my dad knew that was going to come from scouting. So they put me in that tough situation that I didn't want to be there. And for a long time, it was hard for me to trust that my parents knew what was best for me, because I'm this arrogant 18-year-old, I've got whatever GPA and I've got whatever scholarship, and my times in cross country are this, and I win whatever award, and I think I'm on top of the world. But then there's just been this realization that I wouldn't have anything if it wasn't for my Lord. He's blessed me with every gift that I have and puts every challenge in front of me because that challenge is going to shape me into who he wants me to be and who he has in his plan for me to be. And then all these opportunities that I've been given they've been provided for to me from my parents. Even stuff on campus where, well, I ran for president and I applied to go to the Masters, but my parents were the ones that put me in this situation. And then my arrogance can say, well, I got this scholarship, which is why I'm here, but then my parents put me in the high school and the middle school and the elementary school that built the knowledge base and whatever so that they were the ones that were teaching me how to read and write. Like everything I owe to my parents. Sorry, that was a really long answer to your question.
No, that's really great. That's what I'm trying to do, get you to go on these long rants. That's something I wonder a lot, and a lot of my friends wonder about as well. Because, like, some people, they're mad at their parents that they didn't put them in tough situations, like make them do piano lessons. That was, like, my thing. Like, I hated doing piano, but my mom was like, oh, it's good for your brain development.
Yeah.
Supposedly. But now I really enjoy it, and I'm glad I'm able to learn a song on my own. Same thing with guitar. Like, my dad forced me to, like, learn guitar as a kid. But it's like, in the moment, we don't want them to do that. We just want to watch TV or, like, go play our own game, whatever. And I've never considered how it can be hard for them, too, you know? Because, like, parents are people, too.
Yeah, they just want to do what's best for us.
Yeah.
They're...
And it can be hard to, like, see them crying in a parking lot and then, like, leave them alone for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And not be able to be there for them.
Yeah.
So that would be hard. I don't know how I would do that as a parent.
Yeah.
But hopefully you prepare for that. So you said, I really want to know, what was your, like, final scout project thing? Because I know you have to, like, to get the eagle, whatever it is.
Yeah. I built an observation deck. It's an Audubon sanctuary in Chattanooga. Built an overlook deck that, like, overlooked a riverbed at this conservatory, whatever you call it. They said, we're gonna fall all these trees in front of it because they had done all the environmental whatever that it was okay, and they were gonna fall all these trees so that it would actually overlook the creek that flows through and like the valley beneath it. And then the guy left. They never felled the trees. So me and my girlfriend Caitlin came to Chattanooga a couple months back. So we actually went back out there. It's still standing. I think that deck might be there for a while. My dad works in construction, and so he helped me a lot with you could use 4x4s, but we're gonna use 6x6. Just made it just a little bit more foundationally secure than it probably needed to be. But
that's pretty cool. And it's a nice, long-lasting thing as well.
Hopefully.
Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. Is it like a public thing, or do people have to, like, find it?
It's a hike. It's like a 1.5 mile hike to get back there. But it's a cool little. They were trying to. There's a trail that goes up that bluff back there, and they're trying to get more people to go to use that bluff because it's a really beautiful area of their park. So they said, well, if we've got an observation deck, maybe people will hike out there. But who knows? I've been there once, 2 or 3 times since I've built it. So
that's pretty cool. I'll have to check back up on it. Anyway, so you mentioned that this strive for leadership was kind of first established in Scouts. So was it always a goal to be, like, a student body president in college?
No, not at all. Not at all. My cousin is Sam Carr. He was student body president his senior year. His senior year of college was my senior year of high school. And he was here. And he was like, Ben, you gotta, like, I want you to get involved in SGA. Like, let me introduce you to these people. Like, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna rush fraternity. I'm gonna be like Mr. Frat. And then that's, if you know me, that is not who I am. And then I actually went to he convinced me, me and Caitlin both went to the freshman class officer interest meeting. It's like, I'm not going to spend my time in college doing this because I don't know what I wanted my college to be. I was kind of just coasting through freshman and sophomore year. But then opportunity presented itself to get involved. I met the girl that was planning to run, I guess it was the end of my freshman year. I met her. She was like, this is this really small position. You're going to be at Senate. You're going to be a part of our EC. You're going to see how everything works, but you're not going to have a whole lot of stuff on your plate, and just see how it goes. And so I ran with her. Me and Caitlin both ran with her. She's been there every step of the journey, but we both ran. We won. I got super involved. Not super involved. I saw a lot. I sat on the finance committee and saw a lot of stuff that I thought could have been improved.
In what area?
First, it was the finance process. We do. So for background on what SGA does, we get money each semester from the university to provide. I think that there are currently like 164. That might be wrong. It's 160 some student organizations. So we fund all of their events, all of their travel. Not all of it. Some of them do fundraising. Some of them collect dues. But we provide money to any of them that present it well, and we as SGA feel it is a good use of the school's money. We fund these trips and conferences and speakers. And the way that was done was just so slow. So it was, I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm big on equity. I think equity is huge. So it was not equitable the way that funds are being given out. Certain clubs had figured out how to rig the system and get $60,000 a year, and other clubs couldn't figure out how to submit bills and weren't getting stuff for any of their events. So ran for treasurer, did it. It was that being treasurer. Patrick Parker is the current treasurer. Brady Durkin just won. He's going to be the next treasurer. And I told Patrick, and I'm sure Patrick has told Brady that I said this, but being treasurer is much harder than being president in a time basis, because constantly people are submitting purchase requests and bill requests, and you're always answering questions because, I mean, you're their guy that is doing all their money for all their events. So saw that, and then there was a little tugging on my heart to run for president. I really didn't want to run for president.
What was the moment? What was the build up to be like, okay, I'm going to run for president. Let me fill out this application. Let's start a campaign, guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of prayer that went into it. Part of it was I'd fixed the finances. I'd reconciled all these debt accounts.
And this was when you were when I was top EC treasurer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was then. I'd gotten all the funding stuff fixed. I'd figured out new ways to budget and implemented this finance committee. And it was like my baby. And that was a big reason for running for president, was just I didn't want to see that get lost because it wasn't completely done yet. I think that I probably need to finish 3 more things on an Excel file, and it will be finished in my book right now. But that was a big part of it. And then I talked with my parents. I talked with Sam, my cousin who had done it, and I wanted to see a Christian leader in the position. And I have in no way been a perfect president, and I've in no way been a perfect Christian. I don't think there is a perfect Christian, but my values align very strongly and very closely with the values of this school and God, family, country. And I kind of realized that my values align closely with the school, and more than that, I've grown a lot as a person in my time here. I wouldn't have any of that if it wasn't for scholarships that I'd been given from the school. So I kind of decided that this was a way to give back to the university that's given me so much. I hope I've done a good job of that. And yeah, there was just this ease that came over me. I'd already submitted my application, and then there was spring break right before campaigning started. And I was like running around with a chicken with my head cut off, like doing all this planning, like making all this campaign graphics and figuring out who to reach out to, and still filling a couple spots on my team. And there was just this point, I was standing at my dad's desk working on stuff late one night, and there's just an ease that came over me, and it was like, you're doing this for a reason. You're supposed to be in this position. You're not going to know what it is. I still don't know what it is. I still tell I was at a campaign meeting for the kids that just ran for president, and I said, honestly, if you lose this, you're going to have a much easier senior year, because it's added a lot of stress onto my plate and other people on my team, who've just done it to give back. Yeah, you get a title. Yeah, I might win whatever award that at the end of the day is just going to sit on my desk. You don't get paid. I did get a nice Brooks Brothers quarter zip, so that was pretty sick. But it's a tough position, and I felt at ease about it, that this is where I want you right now, Ben. So go for it. So we did. We went for it. That campaign week was the most stressful experience, like stressful 2 weeks of my life, and exhausted, and don't know if I caught up on sleep until like the summer started at the end of the year, but it was stressful, and we did it. We won. We set the record for shout out to, I ran against Cameron Eller. Both of our campaigns, both her and I, set records for the most votes ever received, because we both pushed so hard.
I was surprised, and like y'all got a lot of compliments. Like, dang, this is a good campaign. It was effective, and now like all the campaigns are like that now. Like the new campaigns for this year,
Dude,
they like stepped up to that
crazy
level.
Yeah, they're getting like these corporate sponsorships, and like I couldn't have beat Quadir, I don't think. He ran a really, really good campaign. Yeah, it was nuts, and then we've just been pushing through this year. I think that it's an interesting position, because you're a student leader, and you're a student leading other students, so you're in this position of leadership in your team and other portions, but you're still just a student. These are all of my peers that I'm working with, which is kind of tough whenever there is like a disagreement, and I think it should be this way, you think it should be that way. It's tough to handle that, because it'd be easy if I was just the boss, but I'm not the boss. Like, you are literally in my class. You live next door to me. Like, I'm not your boss. I'm not going to boss you around and tell you what to do. I have done that sometimes, which I regret. And then on a administrative side, like, you're a student. Like, yes, you're the voice of the student body, but if the university has this plan that they've been working on for 5 or 6 years, and you disagree with it, at the end of the day, like, you're a student, and it's just like my parents. They probably do know better. I don't understand everything that goes on in Roberts Hall, but I'm sure that Dr. Cubane and Barry Kitley and everybody is very strategic with why they're doing what they're doing, and might not make sense right now why this is going this way, but 10 years from now, it probably will.
Yeah, that's different. The different scales the university works at, because it's a big organization. It's a big business. Like,
Yeah.
You got the Roberts Hall administration, and then SGA, as huge as people think it is, it's just a small part of such a larger organization.
Yeah, if SGA went away, I mean, everything would still get done. We've got great students, and
Yeah.
I mean, they ask for money, and we give the money, and then they run with it.
Yeah.
With clubs bringing J.D. Vance to campus, and I just listened to Ben Carson, and clubs. My roommate, Troy Kubenka, who's also in honors, he was in California at a conference and met with some Sony rep for their club, like Sony Incorporated out of Japan, and she was like, we'd love to partner with your club and provide this stuff, and we'd even love to connect with the university about potentially partnering. And it's like, he's like, Ben, what do we do? I said, I have no idea. Let's email Barry and figure out these. I mean, we've got great students here that are, if I wasn't here, everything would still go smoothly. So
Then what would you say, what does an SGA president contribute during their term? What have you learned from your term serving?
it's a great question. I think that every president is different. Every president has, and not just the president, but their executive cabinet, because there's a team of, I guess it's 18 of us, and work together, and we have these goals and ambitions that we want to complete, which a lot of those follow from what Hannah did great last year. We love this event. We want to do this again, but then we restructured Senate. We were like, this is something that isn't efficient. It's not representative of the student body. Let's do it. We went for it. We restructured, and there are really good parts about it, and there are parts that have not worked. So we implemented committee meetings, which are really good on paper. It's a really good idea where you've got a service and civic engagement committee, a community and belonging committee, a health and wellness committee, where representatives from each of these clubs and organizations that fit into that specific category are meeting once a month to come up with events and resolutions and things to present to Senate to make changes on campus and host events on campus for their selective corner. It sounds really good on paper. We figured out that in reality, it didn't work. I've talked to Quadir about that, and I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to figure out a way. He might cut them. He might change the structure of them. He might do something differently. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is that, well, when I got here, Katie Parisi was the president. She did things one way. Lizzie Eisenhart made things 1% better. And then Hannah Parsons made things 1% better. And then hopefully I can say I've made with things 1% better. And if it's just continually getting that team and that administration comes in with a little bit of fresh ideas. They figured out what worked here, so we're going to keep that, and then we're just going to make slight improvements to that. I think that's the beauty of it, is it's not the same people. And especially, I was on Hannah's team and Lizzie's team, so it has kind of been this kind of stream of, it has kind of been the same ideas. And I think it's going to be really good that nobody on my team is on the other team's EC, and that's going to be taking over next week. And I think that that's going to be good to have those fresh ideas come in there and say, well, these are things that did well, but this is what our corner of campus that Ben didn't connect with, this is what they see and this is what they need. So
is there just like out of curiosity, is there like communication between the ECs, like between each term? Like, do y'all have like an official meeting where y'all like, I don't know, pass on the knowledge, be like, here's what we learned, good luck, guys?
Yeah, so it's always a little bit awkward because there's always like somebody that was on one team that didn't win, and it's always awkward. It's always been awkward, the whole transition. But there's transition meetings where a person from my team and the person that's filling that position will like meet, and like if it's Patrick Parker's the treasurer, he'll meet with Brady a couple of times because that's a big position, to go over everything he knows, kind of pass on that knowledge. And then the new team's getting sworn in on Thursday. So we'll all meet before the Senate meeting. I'll give a couple words about here's what's worked, here's what hasn't worked. But at the end of the day, like in 45 minutes, I'm not going to be the president anymore. Y'all don't have to do what I did. I think that these things worked, but Quadir's your president. I mean, listen to Quadir. Quadir, listen to your team. And they won't be going into it blind. And I've never gone in. I didn't go into either of my positions blind. So there's still that train of knowledge. But
did you receive any word of advice from Hannah Parson when she was leaving? He was also an honors student. Beating ups, guys.
Yeah, there was an honors. Katie was an honors. Katie was before your. Wait, are you sophomore or junior?
I'm a sophomore, so Hannah was my freshman year president.
Yeah, so Katie was honors, and then Lizzie wasn't. Hannah is. Than I am. Yeah, me and Hannah talked a lot before deciding to run. She gave me advice like throughout the entire year. And it's just what you make of it. I think that she talked to me about humility and leading humbly, because we're in a small pond right now, and you're the big fish in the small pond, and you can be an a-hole of a big fish. But nobody's going to respect that leader, is what she told me, is to lead with humility, and that's what I've tried to do. I've got big emotions, and my head does get a little bit bigger than it should sometime, but I'm always trying to rein that back in, and I try to, even on the inside, if I'm mad at somebody or think that my way is the right way, I've always tried my best to hear people out and lead with humility.
That's great. Yes, yeah, I loved Hannah. And like when I found out and she was honors, I was like, oh my God, that's cool.
Yeah.
And like our director, Dr. Hedman, has kind of been bragging on your EC because in addition to you, there's a lot of honor students on your council as well.
Yeah, we've got a ton.
Yeah.
Claire Barnes, Faith Bradley, Riley Maldonado, Landon Hardister. Oh, Caitlin Black. I should remember that one. That should have been the first name. There's got to be more. It's going to be embarrassing if I'm missing somebody. Kendall. Yeah, Kendall McDowell is in honors. That might be it.
Pretty impressive.
6 honors. Yep. We stayed Finchies for life there.
Yeah. Which makes me wonder, is there anything from like honors classes and the honors program that you've taken with you into SGA and like has influenced your ability to lead in that sense?
I think that being in Finch and being out of Finch, I still live with a couple of honors guys. But in Finch, it's just all these people that have great ideas, and if you look at it now, like Ethan Muckerhide, my suite mate freshman year, is like a Fulbright semifinalist, and so is Emma Higgins, who's also an SGA. She's a class officer. Like, you've got all these people in honors that, like, it's this huge knowledge base, and we talk about, I'm a business guy, so like LinkedIn, you've got your connections, and if I don't know somebody, whoever it is, Nate Hohense down the hall probably knows about it because he's the best at this on this campus. And being able to meet those people through honors, and you realize, well, this person knows more than I do about this. Riley Maldonado, I picked him he was my roommate. I picked him to be my attorney general because he doesn't deal with nonsense at all. He's very fair, he's very smart, and then he's not going to deal with somebody like trying to fool around with him. So I picked him to be the attorney general who runs the elections because he fits perfectly for that. Trying to think who else on my team. Claire Barnes, she's in the student justice program. She's very smart, she's very well-spoken, she's approachable. As the Chief Justice, she's going to be the one that needs to be making these decisions if something ever happens in an honor. Like, if I start screwing around and get impeached, Claire Barnes is the one that needs to be strong enough to say, yeah, we're going to impeach you, Ben. But she's also the one that's meeting with all these clubs that have no idea how to start a club. I don't know how many clubs she's chartered this year, but it's at least double digits where she's constantly meeting with them, and I'm sure that it gets annoying when you have 8 different people ask you the exact same question in a span of 2 weeks. But Claire Barnes, seeing in honors that she handles herself well in that situation, she's going to do perfectly in this role. And then I guess that Finch community, we all kind of, it's like a family. And that was my goal at the beginning of the year with EC. Whenever we first got back to campus, we had like a scavenger hunt around campus. Like, it should be a group of friends. I mean, you're working together for this whole year. You want to act like a family. And me and my mom butt heads, and me and my dad butt heads, and me and my brother butt heads. But at the end of the day, we still care about each other. We still love each other. And Patrick probably would not mind me saying this because Patrick and I are both, like, Patrick's a great leader. And we're both very strong-willed, and we've butt heads a lot, especially because I was in his position last year. But at the end of the day, like, if you ask me who are your best friends on campus, like, it's Patrick Parker. Who do you respect most on campus? Patrick Parker. And I think that he's not in honors, but he's around a lot of honors kids, so he kind of counts. I think it's that.
Yeah, I feel like we all have like our honorary honors guy.
Yeah, there are kids that are not in honors, but they kind of count. But,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that family aspect of Finch that's hopefully successfully joined into our EC. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. I really like that. Good family aspect.
Yeah.
Would you do it again if you could go back and be like, know everything that you're going to go through with the stress and the time? Would you have been president?
So I don't have a job right now. I think that once I find a job, my answer would be yes. As I don't have a job right now, there's a little bit of me thinking like, well, Ben, you should have been like all this time you put into SGA, you could have been working IB internships, or you could have been working internships all this time and be more prepared. But so there's a little part of my head that would be like, no. But then the professional growth through the position is unlike, I don't think that there's anything that will match that. I've learned so much technical, like Excel skills. We've built this new budgeting template that is, I don't have like a senior capstone project for the finance major. We've got a course. Like it's my self-proclaimed senior capstone because all that knowledge of budgeting and forecasting and not refinancing, but reconciling. You can learn about it in class, but I actually got to do it. The account's got over $1 million in it, and I had to manage that for a year, and then have still been working with it with Patrick. And then in the position, you're a student, and when you tell other students that you're not going to provide them funding for travel because they're in bad standing because they've overspent, those students are mad at you. And then sometimes their faculty are mad at you too. Sometimes the faculty will send a very strongly worded email to you, the student. And so learning how to deal with that email from that professor and handle it in a professional manner, that I'm very emotional, and I've got a pretty short fuse. I cover it up well, but I've got a pretty short fuse. Like I want to respond and say like, your club messed up, like very rudely tell him off. But then it's breathing in flowers and blowing out candles, taking a little bit, and then, okay, I'm going to send a very professional, kind email, even when I don't want to this professor, telling him that, hey, here's what went wrong, here's how you can still get the funding. And then 9 out of 10 times that professor realizes that, and then a lot of clubs will come for a budget defense and will cut it because they don't give enough information, and then tell them resubmit it, and then they resubmit it, they present it with more information, and then if a club wants to go on a good event, they're going to go on the good event. So learning how to break hard news to people, managing a team. I've got a great team, like everybody on my team, and even in the greatest team, there are always people that you have difficulty with. And I have not been perfect at managing those difficult situations, but learning how to manage a team of people that don't necessarily all get along to still accomplish a goal. You can't really get that anywhere else. So I had to speak at city council. That was terrifying. The school was wanting to, there was a project that they wanted to complete that the community of High Point was not a big fan of. And being the spokesperson for the university that the SGA president is, I went up there and spoke my opinion as a High Point student and got booed and laughed at by the community members. And that's hard to get anywhere else. Speaking in a class is much easier. Speaking to board members at my job one day is going to be a whole lot easier, because if I can stand up in front of these 300 people in this city council room that all are anti what I'm having to say. So yeah, I would do it again. I think I would do it again. I'd do a lot of things differently, but I would do it again.
That's a good answer. Well, we're going to wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I do have a fun throwback for you. So Dr. Hedman has given me access to the Honors Challenge archive from freshman year colloquium. So I have your Meet Your Professor challenge photo.
Okay.
You met Dr. Asar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you remember him?
Yeah.
He was your macroeconomics professor.
Yes.
Your hair looked a little different. But there you go. Look at that.
Yeah. I had the long hair. Yeah, I love Dr. Asar. He's still
a teacher?
Yeah, he's the head of the MBA program now.
Oh, wow. That's very cool.
I still see him. He's running all over the place, but
That's very cool. All right. And then my last question for you is not my question. So I have a fun tradition on the podcast where the last guest left you a question to answer, and then you're going to leave a question for the next guest.
Okay.
So the last guest wants you to answer, how has your life changed throughout college, and what is a personal philosophy you held freshman year coming in as opposed to one senior year now leaving?
That's a good question. When I was a freshman, I would consider myself a kid. I still consider myself a kid. I hope that I'm a more mature kid. I think that at this stage, I am closer to being able to call myself an adult. Just through learning knowledge in class, but more outside, meeting people that I'm from Tennessee. Everybody that I went to high school with was from Tennessee. We were all the same person, meeting people, different experiences, being in situations where I've had the opportunity to grow professionally. There's a lot of growth there. I think that if you would have asked me senior year of high school if I was ready to go to college, I would have said yes. Asking me senior year of college if I'm ready to leave college, I don't know if my answer would be yes, because I think that maybe I've been humbled a little bit in college, where senior year of high school Ben was, yeah, I can do whatever. And I still believe that the sky's the limit and I can do whatever, but there's this...
You realized how much you don't know.
Yeah, I've realized there's a lot more to learn, and there's a lot of people that know a lot more than I do. Just figuring out that I gotta meet those people, gain knowledge from them, and constantly be growing. Did I have to answer the question? I feel like there was another.
That's a good answer. It was a loaded question, which makes sense for the person who left it. But yeah, I'll pass this to you. You can choose your color and then just
cool.
write it down there.
Okay.
And then it's like a cliffhanger situation, so you just write it down and then they have to come back next time to figure out what you left.